We're here to empower high-income earners to gain back control of your time through financial independence and stop trading your time for money and start letting your money work harder for you.
And hey, if you want to meet other high-income earners on their FIRE journey, join our High Income Earners FIRE Facebook group. Every month, we'll have guest speakers and we'll share about what our team is currently working on and allow you to share what you are working on with other high-income earners.
So hello, everyone. Welcome back to High Income Earners FIRE podcast. Today, I have Spencer and Ashley here with me. Again, forgot to introduce myself. I'm Cody Ye. Today, my co-host Aline Prague is absent. She will join us on the next one, but today it will be me hosting Spencer Ashley. Again, Spencer Ashley has a lot of experience in not just Airbnb, but real estate. And they're mainly focused on Niagara-based real estate. They started investing in 2018, have since expanded the portfolio to 12 units with a mix of short-term and long-term rentals. And they co-founded Travel Lux Property Management. So they also manage short-term rental. So if for anyone who's interested, want to be more hands-off, just pay someone a management fee, here are the guys for you. I heard they do really good jobs. And they quit their job at age 33 and 29. Again, I'm not going to butcher which one it is. I'll let you guys explore that. Welcome, Spencer Ashley.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So can you guys let us know what I did not talk about during the bio? I'll give you guys the justice to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so we are Niagara-based real estate investors, like you said. We started investing back in 2018 when Spencer had his first BRRRR to short-term rental. He had a good friend who was kind of in the short-term rental space and said, hey, we should get into this. So they did some renovations, they refinanced, pulled some money out and put it up on Airbnb. It did so well that the next year in early 2019, I decided I wanted a piece of the pie. So we ended up purchasing a house together, our first together on the same street, did the same thing, did some renovations, put it up on Airbnb. We liked it so much that later that year, we took on partners and we purchased another one around the corner. So we had 3 in the same area. Yeah, thanks. And put it out again, did BRRRR to Airbnb. And that was through the pandemic, trying to do the renovations through the pandemic wasn't fun. And then we launched and that's what kind of sparked our first big interest in Airbnb.
Awesome. And Spencer, do you agree with everything that Ashley said?
I do. Yeah. I do. And to further that, obviously Travel Lux, that's when that formed because, eventually after our 4th or 5th one, we hit a wall with financing and we had the skills and the people involved. So we thought, hey, how can we scale this? We know how to operate. We're having success with it. How can we scale this much faster than having to figure out how to get financing, needing hundreds of thousands of dollars, to put down on these properties. So we figured we can do these for other people, other investors. So that was how Travel Lux Property Management was formed.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys doing the Airbnb arbitrage strategy at all?
We're not in arbitrage yet. Keyword yet. Our thing was we want to focus on one thing at a time, get really good at it. And we've just had a lot of success and it's been growing rapidly with the management side. So we've been sticking with that. But that being said, not to say we don't like arbitrage. We do. We think it's great.
So right now you're just stabilizing your short-term rental, thinking of some clients for short-term rental management and just really hone your skill. I know you guys are already really good at it, but really just get those system and process in so that you guys can skill up, maybe take on more properties yourself with their Airbnb arbitrage. Sounds like that's kind of where you guys are going. And of course, there's multifamily building as well, right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we're always looking to scale. As you're probably aware of, systems are the most important things. They're enabling you to do that.
So have you guys already done short-term rental? Does it change your perspective on the multi-family buildings? Does it?
I wouldn't say it changes our perspective on it. I guess I should preface to say our multi-family buildings, I should say building now, we actually recently just sold our one building, is in a different province where the tenancy laws are a lot different. They're a lot more in favor of the landlord. That was the main reason why we did it.
Is that New Brunswick?
It was New Brunswick. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I still got...
Good guess.
Yeah, nice guess. Yeah, we just really liked how hands-off that in those investments were. I mean, we purchased those during COVID and didn't see it for 8 months, or at least I didn't see it for 8 months. I think it took Ashley about a year and a half till she got to walk through it, literally the one and only time. So like everything was run remotely. And that was like a really cool experience for us because we didn't have to lift a hammer. You know, it was just our right or left hand to lift up the phone. That was literally the hardest work we had to do for those. And, you know, we increased the rent really good there, and it was very hands off. Felt like a lot more passive investment versus short-term rentals. They're definitely a lot more hands-on in the beginning before you can get the systems in place.
Do you mind sharing some numbers on that building that I know you guys just sold it? I want to ask you guys a bit of that number, and then we want to compare that to the short-term rental. If you don't mind.
Sure. I mean, so we purchased the building for $215,000
in July of 2020.
In July of 2020, yeah. It was a
for how many units?
6 units.
For $220,000 for 6 units.
Yeah.
So that's
a solid brick building, 5,500 square feet. Like it was a mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms. So yeah, I think we put like just under 90,000 into it to renovate each unit. So I guess you're averaging around like 10-ish. Each unit was like 10 to 12,000. I think our most expensive one was like 14. So I think we put in like 90 grand, and we ended up refinancing it. We kept it as a variable only because it had a completely unfinished basement. I think it was like 9-foot ceilings. It was like really like a ton of space because it was pretty far above grade. Like there was a lot of big windows already, a lot of natural light coming through. So original plan was to add 2 more units. So we refinanced it. I think we got it appraised at 620, 625. So we ended up pulling out, after everything was said and done, like 315,000. So we did more than a perfect BRRRR. We got our down payment back, which I think we put 55 or 60 down, plus our 89 back. So we ended up with like a pretty good net. 316, I remember, was the check that was deposited into the account. And then, yeah, we had some bad news with the city regarding the 2 units downstairs. Because it was so far above grade, they required us to put in sprinkler systems throughout the whole building. And a barrier-free unit, which essentially is like a wheelchair accessible unit. And those don't really rent out in that area. Even the person I spoke at the city said, you know, they're kind of a waste, but it's just their policy. So what most people do is spend the 10 grand to make it a barrier-free unit. And then once it gets approved, they re-renovate it back to a normal unit. So it's a big waste. So the other thing is too, with the rising interest rates, we were on a variable. So that definitely, originally we were cash flowing, I think, around 2,300 to 2,500 a month on that building once all the rents were raised.
After the refi.
Yeah.
Wow,
and then with the variable rate increases, that started to diminish. So we basically took a look at it saying, look, there really isn't any more value to add here other than to make it a little bit more bulletproof, just keep guests happier, you know, make sure things are fixed up, common areas, stuff like that. So we just took emotions out of it and decided to list it. And we ended up getting, I think, what was it, 665 for it, a cash offer. So, you know, basically for us to justify it, we ended up like, we're only cash flowing like $300 or $400 a month with the current rate at the time. Yeah. So to hang on to it in hopes that the interest rates were going to come back down for $200 or $300 a month, we weren't really interested in. So we decided to take our money and run with it on that one. But
when was that? When did you guys list that?
We listed it in May.
Oh, so this year, May. Okay.
This year, yeah.
It just closed the end of July.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, timing worked out pretty well just because here in Niagara, things were basically a dead stop. But out there, we have, you know, our friends and a couple of them are realtors. They said things were still selling pretty consistently. So we said, hey, let's try to catch it before things get worse. And yeah, it ended up being like perfect. Yeah.
And why do you think that is in around the GTA, right? For our listeners in the US, GTA is kind of like our Toronto and surrounding area, Greater Toronto area. What do you think around the Greater Toronto area kind of was a dead stop, drop 20% kind of thing? You know, not like drop, but compared to the height. But meanwhile, in the Eastern province, actually was kind of stable or still kind of going up, right? What do you think that is?
I mean, my guess would be price point and risk management. I mean, it's, you know, the prices in the GTA in this area, you know, you're well over $1 million for nothing, like for a tear down. In a lot of places in the GTA, it's probably even higher. Versus out there, you can still pick up a 6-unit purpose-built building for 500-600 grand, right? So I think a lot of people, I mean, there were a lot of people from Ontario per se that we knew that were bringing they're selling things here and bringing money out there to expand the portfolio that way. So that would be my guess. I'm sure there's probably multiple factors that kept things going out there, but I mean, it definitely has slowed down compared to what it was doing in the height of everything. But it's, that would be my guess.
I'm sure you guys probably consider Airbnb that building out. Have you guys thought about that before you guys sell it?
No, the numbers were too good to sell it. So we wanted to I don't think our return would yield the investment that we needed to put in it, right? Because then you'd have to furnish all of them. And St. John where the building is a smaller city. You get a lot of workers through, but they need a lot of like long-term rent. I don't feel like there's as much of a need for a short-term rental.
There's just not as much data, I guess you could say. We're actually considering trying, we have another 6-unit, my partner and I, we're going to consider trying 1 unit to see how it goes.
Where is that?
In St. John. Yeah.
St. John as well.
Yeah, okay. Same thing. It's like very similar building, 6 units. And that one's pretty solid. We blocked that one in at a fixed because we've just been slowly renovating it over time. It was an off-market deal. We stole it basically, but we're going to try one, I think, once we're supposed to get a tenant out of there, I think, in the next month or so. So we're considering trying one out, seeing how it goes.
Yeah. Let us know how did that go. And is AirDNA still the most reliable resource you guys use for comparing data for Airbnb around Niagara regions, like the GTA area? Is that still the most reliable?
Yeah. Yes. Well, any big area that has a large data pool, it's still fairly accurate. That being said, we don't just look at the gross number it spits out and assume that's what it's going to do. We like to dive in a lot deeper. We like to look at the comparables. What do they have? What don't they have compared to the property that we're looking to purchase or manage? And if there is insufficient data in smaller areas, we'll actually just do the grunt work and go on, Airbnb, VRBO, cottages, all those things, and take a look at, what they're charging per night, how much availability there is, what amenities they have. Like, you still want to do your research that way.
And when we look at AirDNA as well, we like to take away the outliers. So if it's pulling comparables from a place that maybe sleeps the same amount, has the same amount of bedrooms as you, but is on the water with a hot tub, infinity pool, etc., and that's not what your house has, then we would take away those ones because they can skew the data.
Yeah, there's kind of one-off really nice or one-off really bad building.
Yeah, that'll drag it in both ways. Yeah. So we just eliminate that and redo the average, with a category.
Nice. Okay, no, that's really good. So if we take a step back, you guys start investing in 2018, and when you guys quit, both of you guys are full time now, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I left my job the end of September of 2021.
And I was gone the end of May, like May 25th or something like that.
So that's not very long since you guys quit. I quit my job 2019. How do you guys feel about this transition? And like, I know you guys were working, I know Spencer was getting paid really well as well, because I heard on different podcasts. So how do you make that transition? And what would you tell people that are kind of making a leap of faith? Like, what should they do before they kind of quit their job? Or what was going through your head? How do you guys discuss that before you guys quit?
Well, we opened up a lot of capital. We refinanced a few things. We took secured line of credits, unsecured, tried to get as much access to that as we could.
Any refinances we had to do, we made sure that those were done before.
Yeah, finished before. I extended and got more on a HELOC I have open on the home that we're currently living in. We purchased a vehicle because our main vehicle was a company vehicle that we knew would have to go back. We'd have to get approved for that. So any approvals, we did that before giving notice.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say there's like a perfect time. I mean, looking back now, we probably could have quit a lot sooner. It's just more of your own comfort levels. I mean, personally, we have emergency slush funds of, up to over a year's living expenses, probably more. to be completely honest, as like reserves. Just that was our comfort level, and a cash flow position where, you know, we're really happy to can still continue our lifestyle, but also, you know, focus on 100% of the business and continue to grow that aspect. So, you know, there wasn't really a number or a set time in place or criteria, if I'm being honest, because we tried to do that and then we got there and then chickened out, and then we got to the next one and then chickened out.
What was it? Do you mind sharing a bit of that?
I think it was like eight or 10 grand a month. And then like, yeah, I think it was around that. But, you know, as we were doing better with the business, our lifestyle obviously increased. We love to travel. So we were traveling a little bit more, and you know, we're big experienced people. So, you know, we always, you know, I always wanted more, but we're not the typical, I don't think it's typical, but there are people that get to fire a lot faster because they're a lot, you know, better with being more frugal and stuff like that. We're a lot more offensive, if that makes sense. Like if we want to go do that thing, I was like, okay, what do we need to do to get that extra 1,500 a month or extra 2,000 a month? I don't want to, you know, start collecting food stamps or, you know, not going out for dinners and enjoying times with friends just so I can, you know, afford to live without a corporate job. Like that's not the strategy we chose.
Yeah. And we got to a point too where we were so busy that we really didn't have a life, because we were essentially had built the management business and our personal portfolio to the point where it was almost like another full-time job. So now we're working 2 full-time jobs, and we felt like we were only giving a percentage of ourselves to each aspect. And we just sat down one night and I was like, hey, we'll never be able to grow the business without putting 100% effort into it. Like just putting 50% effort isn't going to do it. So at some point we knew this was going to be a very successful venture for us. We just needed to put 100% of our time into it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of people are listening to our podcast. Again, my co-host Aline Prax is not here today, but we sat down and really define our listener base or our audience base. We're really trying to attract people who are on their way to financial freedom. They keep building more. The way we reach FIRE is not that we scale back a lot of our lifestyle and say, you know what, I can live off $1,000 in my parents' base. And we're not really trying to do that. We're trying to have abundance mindset. Maybe it will never be enough, but when is enough? Once you have enough, we have other lines of business continuing to grow, and you really don't know what you don't know. So we're coming from that standpoint, have an abundance mindset and help out more people from that. So we can definitely echo with that concept.
Yeah, for sure.
So for our listeners, can you tell us like a worst moment for your Airbnb journey so far?
Well, it's never gotten to that point, thankfully. Like it's never gotten to the point where that. I mean, there's so many different areas. There's obviously guest issues that we've dealt with. You know, fortunately, we run a pretty tight ship on vetting that we haven't had really too many crazy horror stories. I had a really bad guest. I mean, I don't know if we can probably say this in the podcast that rented the house for one night. They instant booked, but they shouldn't have been able to, because we have a very strict criteria to instant book. You need to have multiple like high-end reviews. You need to have like ID and all of that. And they somehow instant booked with no reviews, and you know, didn't trash the place, but you know, it was one girl, 5 bedrooms. She used every bed. Different people were coming through the house. If you're catching the drift there. And all the towels and linens and everything were basically unreplaceable, or they weren't salvageable. So we had to, you know, replace those that were out. So it wasn't like financially crazy. It was just more so they left it in pretty bad condition, and it was a pretty gross job for the cleaners. So I would say that's probably like one of the worst ones.
We've had a flood in another house too, where it wasn't.
Before we go on that flood, did Airbnb, how do you guys deal with that with Airbnb? With that one girl rent a 5-bedroom and arbitrage her place?
It's a great question. It was honestly, this was the beginning. This was probably like 2019. Airbnb used to be like really easy to deal with from like a host perspective. I called immediately, got a hold of someone right away who had decision-making power, which doesn't happen now. Now it goes to a case and it takes like sometimes weeks for them to make a decision. They immediately realized that this person should not have instant booked with their reviews, because that was the first thing I pointed out. I said, this person instant booked and shouldn't have been able to look at my criteria. They went in and verified that. They're like, yep, that should not have happened. That must have been a glitch. And then we just sent the photos. Our cleaners sent the invoice for, the additional cleaning. And then we sent the invoice for all the replace like linens, towels and things like that. There was a bit of touch-up painting that needed to be done. So she actually didn't end up responding to Airbnb. And so Airbnb just stepped in and actually paid for it. So it was actually a really, really good experience for the first time that happening with them. Now it's a little bit more difficult to put claims through. You just need to have all your ducks in the row. You need to have photos, timestamp photos. You need to, have proof that you've tried to resolve it with the guests. So we keep all the chat on the app as much as possible with the, future point in mind of, hey, Resolutions is going to be looking at this. So let's try to get them, admitting to things. Let's make sure all the details are in the chat so that they were aware that we had been communicating. Yeah. So that's how that went. It actually was pretty good. I think it was only like $400 or $500 that was causing damages. And yeah, Airbnb stepped in and paid, I think, pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
And that's the worst case.
Well, we had a flood. That one.
That was an annoying one to deal with. It was like a call late at night, and it wasn't just like a flood with like a little bit of water. It was like a torrential downpour, and water was like a waterfall
coming through the egress window
into the basement.
The storm drains backed up in the city. They hadn't received this much rain in like they said it was like 15 or 20 years, so they couldn't handle it. And yeah, we had it coming through the window wells.
So I felt bad for the guests, right? Like it was in the middle of their stay. They were there for a tournament for rowing, and they had to be rehomed. It's like 11 o'clock at night, and there's water like covering your ankles in the basement.
Where there happened to be 2 beds down there, and they needed the basement, so it was unfortunate, but, pro tip, make sure you have really good commercial grade insurance with loss of rent, because that was a $4,000 booking that we were not going to get back. We obviously were immediately going to say, yep, refund them in full. It doesn't matter, because we didn't want to salvage a bad review. But because we had really good insurance, their insurance company actually covered the loss of rent for that and the future bookings that we weren't able to, rent out to, because we had to get a team in there to replace and fix everything. And that was in the middle of our high season. So we were fortunate there.
That's good to hear. And you guys touch on really important points about Airbnb insurance. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, maybe newbies really, or even experienced people, might not disclose everything to the insurance company. Now, what is your take on that, and how do you guys are doing it for best practice?
We're honest with the insurance company. Not every insurance company will insure a short-term rental, but that means you have to find a new insurance company. That to us, that doesn't mean you should lie to them.
Yeah, because I don't really know any specific examples, but I'm pretty sure they're looking if they catch wind, and you lying to an insurance company is, I don't think a good thing to do. Mm-hmm. And then when and if something happens, all it takes them to do is when they go to do their investigation and realize that they were renting on a short-term basis, if it's something bad, like if someone hurts themselves at the property and they catch wind that it was a short-term rental, like you're going to be on the hook for that. And if it goes even worse, if you own that house personally, because now you're going to be personally liable to pay for any of those damages. So we, for the extra $50 to $70 a month it cost us to get commercial grade insurance, it's a no-brainer.
It's not really that much. Extra 50 to $75. That is average. Yeah. That's not a lot, really.
Nope.
Wow. Now, do you guys see a lot of insurance going up? Just like my residential side, my portfolio, like I'm looking at these insurance costs. I'm like, it went from per year, like 1,500 before COVID to now like 2,000 plus. It's almost like 20, 25, 30% increase in like 2 years. Do you guys see this similar things happening?
We've definitely seen an increase. I don't know if it goes as far as 25 or 30%, but we've definitely seen an increase.
Yeah, and because we have a lot insured under like the same company, they've been pretty good with us in terms of increases. We've definitely received the increases, but they weren't anything that we really were complaining about. It was one of those ones like, yeah, makes sense. It's not one to pick up a phone and waste 30 minutes trying to fight.
$5 extra a month.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing which company in the GTA area are, you don't have to share exact one, but maybe 2 to 3
we can if you want.
That are friendly with Airbnb or short-term rentals that people can look into?
Yeah, so we use the cooperators. I mean, Hoykus and Associates out of Oakville. They've been really, really easy to work with.
Mm-hmm.
That's who we're with.
That's the one. Cooperator.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks for sharing that. Now we get over those worst moments. What was the aha moment like throughout this journey of investing? Do you guys ever have those aha moments? Like for some people, it's like they make their first full burr is like, holy cow, all this profit in 1 year is more than I got paid at work. Or do you guys have those aha moments of any sort?
Yeah, I mean, the first refinance was probably like the first aha moment. So my friend he had 5 or 6 rentals at the time. I partnered with him on the first one. We sat down for a beer before, like I said, what are you doing? He told me the whole story and we ended up buying our first one together. And I wanted to partner with someone that had experience and knew what they were doing. Because to me, that was, invaluable. You can't put a price on that, especially for that first one, to make sure it was done right. So I could continue to, build and grow the portfolio. When we got that first refinance check, it was like, what are we doing? Like working this 9 to 5, slaving away. It's like, we did this on the side. It was like a 6-month reno and made more than I was making at the time in an entire year. Again, on the side, I'm not that handy. So we hired pretty much everything out from a renovations perspective. I would just go to the property, bring coffees. If I needed to grab materials with them, we would do that. And just honestly, we're just building relationships with the guys and hanging out with them. That was, to me, it was a lot of fun. It's like we had fun doing this, made a lot of money. And now it's, that specific one cash flow $2,500 net a month. So we're like, okay, well, this is crazy. We need to do more. So that was the first big aha.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And do you guys find this short-term rental management thing, do you guys find that this is another full-time job, or do you guys find that you guys can build a system around it?
We can definitely build a system around it. And to be honest, we've already started. So we started hiring out certain things. Like right now, we're not in the day-to-day operation anymore. We have a property manager in place who takes care of all the day-to-day messages, who coordinates maintenance and cleaning. We kind of just take over more the high-level things, including listening to concerns and putting different systems in place. It's also allowed us to expand. So we've expanded out west where we have a similar system. We have a property manager out there who takes care of all of his listings. He's up to 11.
Well, 5 more coming. Yeah. 16.
And then we have a few people out east doing the same thing, just one listing under them that went live in the last month. And then we're getting set up out in Alberta and up north.
Yeah, in Ontario.
So you guys have a lot of success on the west side of GTA. And like you guys say, you guys are trying to get set up in Alberta, North Ontario, and east of Ontario. Is that correct?
Yeah.
How many property are you guys managing for the short-term rental at this moment?
I think we're 58 now. I think we've got another 8 to 11 going live in the next month. We almost have 5 to 10 going live every month now. Like it's gotten to the point where it's starting to snowball with the systems in place. Good problem to have, but yeah, I think 58 is like exactly right now is what's active. There's a bunch pending in the app, but they're not live, so I'm not going to count them.
That's fine. So can you tell our audience what are some of the benefits? You guys obviously charge a management fee for it, right? Is it a cut on gross or is it a cut on net income? Like
it's a percentage on gross,
right?
Income. Like any cleaning and stuff, we don't take the cleaning fee that gets billed back. Airbnb fortunately allows you to do split payments. Mm-hmm. So I find like a lot of clients like that feature where they're getting paid right away. So that has been a big selling feature for us. But just gross rents, and it's our job to make them more money because it incentivizes us. The more they make, the more we make. But we're very upfront in the beginning. We want to make sure it's going to be a successful venture for them too. So we dive into the numbers with them. We want to know they're covering costs, and we'll put in what we think very conservatively. Like we'll inflate the expenses more than what we think they're going to be, just to make sure that, hey, you're not going to be negative every single month. Now we look like the bad guys. We're making money and you're not. So we're very upfront in that. We actually turn a lot of business down because of that. But, we'd rather have our clients have a good experience versus a bad one, right?
Mm-hmm. Do you mind sharing how much of a gross income percentage you guys charge for the people you guys let through your business?
Sorry, you know what we charge our clients?
Yeah,
we're 20 to 25, depending on how many listings and what regions.
Mm-hmm. And what are the perks for them besides you guys manage for them and more hands off? How do you guys differentiate yourself from other people who are managing short-term rental out there?
I would just say it's overall experience. There's a lot of people that do great jobs hosting, but there's still a lot of, Airbnb's constantly updating. So you definitely, we take pride on being in tune with the latest updates and making sure that the listing is optimized. But honestly, the big things like pricing and customer relations and experience, right? At the end of the day, our listings, which we send to all our future clients that haven't worked with us yet, all of our listings and those reviews that they go through and look is our resume. So we take pride on making sure that we have the systems in place so that not only is the property itself making money for our clients, but also the reviews are coming in. And that way, when we send it off to, let's say if you're interested in investing or buying a place and you need a management company, we're very confident when we send our list to go through and take a look at what we're doing for our clients right now, go through all the reviews, ask any questions. We're confident in that. But the systems is honestly the biggest place, just to make sure everything runs smoothly and, pricing, they're receiving top dollar.
Response time is fast.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I ask is we have a property. So for a lot of listeners who doesn't know, I rarely talk about this. I never mention on social media. I think I'll be the first one to build additional dwelling unit in Bowmanville, which is east of Durham region. Yeah. We have a huge lot, 53 by 220, where we got the permit. We're going to touch ground probably next month, which is finalizing on the contract. And the great thing about that, in Clarington or, city of Clarington is we can build a full bungalow. It's not like Toronto where they're very stringent about 800 square feet. If you cut into 2 stories, 400, then it doesn't make sense. We built a full bungalow. So what would be your advice to me, or maybe someone else that's doing that for their full house? Because we already have a legal duplex up front that's carrying the entire mortgage. This house in the back, originally we were thinking about moving in, but it's so big. It's 2 bedroom up, 2 bedroom down. I don't really need it. So we're thinking about Airbnb out. What do you guys top 3 things that you say, Cody, you should do this right now before you break ground?
All right. So 1, run the numbers and see what you can get. I think that would be your number 1. Look at comparables in the area for the same, say 4 beds or 2 baths or whatever it happens to be, sleeps 8. 2, you're going to look at, do those homes that you're comparing yours to have any other amenities like pools, hot tubs?
Outdoor living area is a big one.
Massive one. And outdoor living area that's not a shared space is going to do better. Yeah, people want their own space.
The great thing about a huge lot, when we built the house towards the back, is because the front house has its own backyard. We have 4 to 5 parking lots horizontally, and you know, to park 2 cars like that if it really shuffle. And then a house in the back, and in their own backyard, a full size backyard. So 220 divided by half is it's still 110, right?
No, it's just laid out really well. It sounds like. No, it's great. So then I would look at adding other amenities, whether that be like a sauna, hot tub, outdoor living space.
Yeah. So one of the things we kind of like AirDNA for is because it shows the map in that area of where all the other listings are. And what I like to do is I'll go in and once you have the comparables and you're happy with the numbers, it's great. But what I go in is I look at all the ones around and say, okay, what don't they have that we could easily add? Right. And some of the ones are major, like, hot tubs and saunas are not cheap, but they are a big selling feature. But there's a lot of small things that you can go in and check off. A huge selling feature for us, we like to tend to the more higher end upscale listing is the outdoor seating area. And when we say that, it's not like a $250, table with an umbrella that you get at Home Depot. We're putting in the luxury lounge sets with the fire table, string lights. If you can have it covered, that is also a huge factor, because it sounds like you've got a pretty big land with a lot of, if you have a lot of greenery, you want to make sure that people are enjoying that rain or shine. So having it covered, whether you're putting gazebos or if you can build like an addition off the back of the deck, just so it's open air, but covered, that's also, we're big on that.
Wow.
And then finally, too, would be what your inside looks like, the interior.
Yeah.
We've gotten a lot of clients who maybe were flippers and wanted to try their hand at short-term rental. And it's hard to wrap your head around, okay, because usually when you're a flipper, once the renovations are done, you're done. For short-term rental, you've literally just begun. So you can't just put a bed, your grandma's old couch, some random coffee table, and a TV up and call her a day. Right? That's not going to work anymore, especially because we're seeing so many new listings come up all the time. You need to stand out or you're just going to be lost in the shuffle of all the other B and C type properties, as we would call them. So you have to make it like a home, like you're actually going to live there, but you're not going to live there. When someone walks in, they need to make it feel like it's like their house. There needs to be fake plants, there needs to be prints on the wall, have a nice throw on the couch. Everything needs to be nicely decorated.
Yeah, that's the part where I think a lot of contractors lacking, because when I first talked to a few contractors, they're like, yeah, we're going to put in like gray walls, like whatever you want as a rental property. I'm like, no, we need a little bit more. But like, well, you got to tell me what you want exactly, right? Yeah. So, but it's good. You already throw a lot of stuff there. Really make it like a home. You don't really have to have expensive fireplace, but really just kind of stand out. I heard some people have the theme, right?
Yeah.
I don't have if they're a beach, your theme, like we have a hospital within 5-minute walk. I don't know what kind of theme I can make it for a hospital, but
I wouldn't go with that theme. I don't think.
No. I would just make it comfortable, homey. That's it, right?
Yeah.
That's just make it feel like a home. Empty walls is never, good. You want to make it look filled and lived in, to an extent.
Fake plants do so much.
Something as small as that, just to add a nice touch to it.
Fake plants or real plants?
We put in like artificial ones. You can get some pretty like nice ones. They're not cheap, but you can also get the ones from IKEA that like the little pot ones. They still look really, really good.
And they're nice in like bedrooms on like bedside tables and such. I mean, it's not a good look for when someone walks in and a real plant's like dying.
Yeah. Then that just creates, more for your systems that you need if you're going to go with real plants. Some people do, but a lot more upkeep.
Yeah. Definitely wish I have a chat offline, since it seems like this is the right stage to get engaged with you guys, right? Yeah. You guys probably like clients engage you guys before they even built or before they even renovate, right?
Yeah, I'd say more than half don't even have the property yet. They're sending us listings. So that's kind of like why we work with a ton of agents. We'll do like a free report for them, even if they're not clients for us, but we'll do a lot of the reports for them in the beginning. So we'll kind of help them from A to, Z, from when purchasing to going live.
And we've also partnered with a couple of decorators as well as some general contractors who understand the world of Airbnb and what's needed. Yeah. So we'll put people in touch with those people.
Yeah. We want them to succeed as much as we do, right?
Yeah. We're going to have a chat online for sure. Now, before we run too much of your time, we're going to go into our fire round. So are you guys ready for our fire round 5 question?
I hope so.
Let's do it.
So the first question is, if you become a billionaire with the B tomorrow, what will your day look like?
So it's a dream of mine to open up like a dog rescue. I love dogs. We have 2 of our own. And
we have one as well.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. So I would love to one day open up a big animal dog rescue, and there's like lots of land and you can rescue all the dogs. That would be like a passion project of mine when we're not traveling the world.
Yeah. So we like to travel, but obviously making an impact like that is something that we've always wanted to do.
You're the same as Claudette. Claudette is my business partner, girlfriend / not there yet, but this is on record. But she always likes looking after dogs or just small animals. And she's like, Cody, can you find me a job, or can we open a business that will actually make money and I can do that? So I think that you guys might have a lot of similar stuff to chat about.
Maybe we should partner about this opening up.
That's a good idea.
Big scale though, right? Not just like the odd one that you every municipality has, like something where you're really making a difference, where money can go a long way, right?
And likely not in Canada, somewhere where there's actually an abundance of stray dogs.
They do a pretty good job, here I would say with that, but all over the world. lots of dogs to save.
And we probably wouldn't spend winters in Canada anymore.
No.
That's another thing. Well, make it two, right? What are you guys thinking staying in the winter now?
Well, we did a month in Florida last year and then like a couple weeks in Arizona. I really, really like Florida, but honestly, we're very, again, abundance like people. We don't get comfortable with just one spot. There's so many different areas we want to go and explore. And that's kind of the nice thing. I think the next few years is going to be a lot of getting a taste of different areas. Mm-hmm. And if there's like an area that we really love where it's like, hey, we could spend 3 or 4 months here for the full winter without getting like bored of the place after a month or two, then we might lock something in. But we don't really have, I'd say, a set place. It just has to be warm. There has to be a beach, most likely a beach, like, water. And we can bring the dogs. Those are like really our only criteria.
So where have you guys stay last year in Florida or Arizona?
Fort Lauderdale in Florida, and then in the Scottsdale area in Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah. And we got Airbnbs for both. Like one that was like pet friendly, really close to everything. They're not cheap that time of the year, but it was worth it. We're also looking at, we had a few properties under contract. We're still, serious about buying down in that area. It just didn't work out, the ones that we had under contract, but we'll be back.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The next question will be, if you guys lose everything right now, all your properties, all your Airbnb management companies, all your multifamily building, but you have your brain, your knowledge, your reputation, and somehow you were given $500,000. What will you guys start again right now?
I would probably wouldn't change much of a thing. I would probably get into some arbitrage just because the ROI and money out versus, $500,000 right now. You can maybe probably can't even buy 2 properties. So I'd probably start with arbitrage and get up to 5 to 10 listings, get the cash flow coming in, and then from that start buying again. I mean, we're buy and hold people. We don't like to sell if we don't have to, or unless there's a better place. So we're looking long-term wealth. So
Ashley is the same.
Yeah, I agree. The other part of me was like, or just throw it all into private lending, get some of that residual, and then raise money. If we kept our reputation, I think we could raise money and get some good deals on a JV basis.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And if you guys become a podcast host, so the table flip, who would you guys like to interview?
That's a good question.
Probably Robert Kiyosaki. That'd be a good guest to have on. Yeah. I mean, The Rich Dad Poor Dad was one of the books that got me started into this, different mindset and ways of thinking.
And I think that's the book that got me into it as well. That was my first real estate related book.
I mean, we'll have you on too. Don't worry. Absolutely.
I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking Robert Kiyosaki, definitely a very popular person and help a lot of people start in this 4 quadrant game, right? Moving around the quadrant. Cool. And I know you guys chat about Ashley chat about wanting to have a dog shelter once you become a billionaire. But what are some other ways that you guys are giving back or foresee that you guys will give back?
So I already volunteer at a dog shelter one to 2 times a week. And that's how we got our second dog, Stella.
And I allow the second dog. So.
But I love it. I love being there. And we also help some people, coach some of our friends and stuff like that. And we love watching their success.
Yeah, like we're big into obviously travel, but like points and miles and flying like first and business class, like with lay down beds and really expensive food for like next to no money. So we get a lot of satisfaction of helping our friends do like just their normal day-to-day spending. But at the end of the year, it's, when they take that trip, they're now flying on a $15,000 flight versus the $1,500 that they were going to spend. And they only spent $100 or $200 in taxes and fees. So we get
I think that gets us more jacked up.
And same thing with helping people just with their real estate. Like we'll have friends that'll reach out to us saying, hey, we're thinking about doing this and this. And when you see them take action, that's almost more rewarding than anything, more rewarding than a refi, more rewarding than that. When you see someone go from starting out to successful is you can't put a price on that.
Especially their Airbnb side of things.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. We're even happy when we see clients succeed and we get those messages being like, I can't believe this. This is amazing. Like, they'd get like a $5,000 or $6,000 booking for a few nights and they're like, wow, just blown away. And that way more satisfying than doing the math on the 20 or 25% that we're making on it. Like that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That's all great content. And where can our audience find more about you if they're interested in short-term rental or short-term rental management, or just want to learn about you guys, follow you guys in general?
Sure. So we're very active on Instagram. So you can find us at Spencer and Ashley. Our management company is also at TravelX Property Management on Instagram as well.
And I have a website, travelluxpropertymanagement.com. Like, so if anyone needs, like, we run free reports with people. So if they're ever interested in seeing what their property can do and they're interested in management, we'll do a full, it's usually like a 2 or 3 page report. We have data for all of Ontario and most of BC. It actually probably will be most of Canada soon. So we can do that for them.
That's great. Great. Well, this is a pleasure having you guys on. Short-term rental, I think, is kind of like a new trend, a way to go for the last few years. And I think it will just build more traction because people really want more freedom now. Everyone can work anywhere in the world, right? So pleasure having you guys on. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us. That was great.
All the links mentioned in this episode are included in the show notes. And if you love this episode, please leave us a rating and review on Apple iTunes. The link is also included in the show notes. And we would really appreciate your help in spreading the word to more high income earners on how they too can maximize both their time and money.
Also, if you still haven't joined our High Income Earners Facebook group, you are missing out on High Income Earners community where we help each other reach our own version of FIRE.